back to Lily with Two L's, and I'm Lily with Two L's. Now in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Crescent Hotel. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Crescent Hotel is a hotel, and I'll get it all into, obviously, the hotel, but I'll get all into the history in a second. But yeah, so today's just been a weird day. I got my nails done. Do you like them? They're little smiley faces. I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, you probably can't see them. I'll insert a picture right here, but I got my nails done. I straightened my hair this morning. Not so straight anymore because my hair is really weird and it does that. And yeah, but today's just been a weird day, but I finally finished all the research I needed for today's video, so I thought, hey, I'm just gonna film. But yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking because I always talk way too much in my intros. And yeah, let's just get right to it. Disclaimer, this video is going to be talking about some heavy, deep stuff, and it's a little gross at some points, so if you are really not into that spooky kind of stuff, feel free to click off this video. And as always, if you're curious about any of the products I'm using in today's video, I'll be linked in the description. The Crescent Hotel is a hotel and spa located in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It has a very kind of vintage and rustic design to it, but that's not the reason it is so popular. Because the Crescent Hotel holds many haunted spirits and stuff like that. But first, let me get into the history of how this hotel became one of America's most haunted hotels. The Crescent Hotel dates way back to its construction, obviously, in the late 1800s, 1886 to be exact. It was intended to be a resort for the rich and famous people and stuff like that. And fun fact, the entire hotel is actually built on limestone. Now, for those who don't really know that much about kind of like the paranormal world or even like stuff like that, limestone is actually a hotspot for like paranormal stuff. That's why a lot of times old places that are built on limestone are haunted. And if you don't know why, it's because limestone absorbs and releases electromagnetic and psychic energy. Fun fact, if you didn't know. I actually just got this Tarte Careless Concealer because Tarte is known for like its shade tape concealer, and I thought, might as well try it. It's really expensive, it's $29. Anyways, it then reopened in 1908 as a school college for girls, and even then the hotel still had haunted history. Because there is when the very first spirit who is still at the hotel to this day happened. I don't know too much about this story because I tried my best and I couldn't really find that much information on it. Anyways, there was a woman who reportedly was at the college and stuff when she fell or was pushed out of her window, and she was actually pregnant at the time, which is really sad. Wow, I look so pale right now. And to this day, people have still been known to see her spirit. It's like a thing now. I would say like 11 to 1. I could be wrong. You could still see her spirit falling out the window in like a mist and stuff. Even one time, there was a man who was kind of looking out and looking at the Crescent Hotel, and he saw this woman fall from her window and down, and he was like, oh my gosh. So he actually called the police, and when they came, they couldn't find anything, and they were like, sorry, you probably just saw the woman in mist. But in 1937, a man by the name of Norman Baker would purchase the hotel. That is when the history gets even more disturbing. Norman G. Baker was born on November 27th in 1887 in Iowa to a very wealthy family. He was actually the 10th child to his mom and dad, John and Mary Baker. And throughout his lifetime, he ended up becoming a broadcaster and inventor, and he would end up becoming very well known and popular on the radio. But in 1930, he ended up creating a substance that he thought could cure cancer. And he ended up advertising. He went on the radio and advertised this product that he had, claiming it would cure people's cancer. And because he was such a well-known like radio broadcaster, and it even reported he was like very good with people. He could like talk to people, and like people like would believe him because he was just very popular, and he could easily just kind of convince people like that. And he kept going on the radio and advertising this cure when really it did nothing. Obviously it did nothing. It contained things like silk, watermelon seeds, water, stuff like that in reality would not cure cancer. And back then, apparently like his like cure for cancer was expensive and like not cheap, and people still believed him and they bought his invention that would cure cancer, and it ended up making him so much money that he ended up buying an entire hotel that he made into a hospital before the Crescent Hotel. But that's a bit time for a different video. I'm not going to get into that history, but because we were talking about the Crescent Hotel. But just know it made him so much money that he was able to buy a completely separate building. And then in 1937, he bought the Crescent Hotel. Now at this time, by the time he bought the Crescent Hotel, Eager Springs, Arkansas had fallen into despair. It had gotten hit really, really hard by the Great Depression, and people were just losing hope, I guess. And then when he came and he bought the Crescent Hotel, he told people, don't worry, I can cure your cancer. And people believed him, and so many people thought, oh my gosh, he is our saving grace, he's going to save us all. So anyways, like I said, he bought the hotel and he began curing people's cancer. And fun fact about Norman, he actually loved the color purple. He would wear purple suits, purple like ties. He had a purple car. People would end up calling him the Purple Man. And then he actually turned most of the hotel purple, and some of the hotel is still purple to this day. But like I said, he would like house people in the hotel and give them the injections of his like formula that would help people with their cancer, which obviously, like I said, did nothing. And by the way, he owned the hotel. He had people in there curing their diseases. But this man isn't even a doctor. He's a radio broadcaster. He's an inventor. He's not a doctor. And that just made me so mad how, like, he tricked so many people into thinking he could cure their cancer when he wasn't even a doctor himself. Yeah. So many people ended up passing away at this hospital because obviously they were dying from their cancer and this thing did nothing for them. And he ended up doing this huge publicity stunt with people showing and advertising his cancer cure. In reality, all those people died, but people still believed him, and he was making a fortune off of this hotel. People were giving him their life savings, and he just kept making so much more money, and it's just like so sad. And it does say that 44 people passed away at the hospital, which is very, very sad. And since the cure did absolutely nothing, people would just be slowly dying in there, in so much pain. And he would like make them sign a contract saying it wasn't his fault if they died, and then they go home and then they died and nobody could do anything. Now, to this day, we don't know if he was a con man in thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna lie to all these people and take their money, or if he really did think he was doing something and he was kind of like tricking himself. But either way, on September 1st, 1939, Norman Baker was arrested for fraud. Okay. He'd been arrested 2 years after starting this hotel, which like, good. I'm glad like they kind of caught him then, and so he couldn't hurt or kill any more people, just saying. But yeah, it was just a really, really sad case, honestly. But since he made literally millions off of his like cure for cancer, he could easily just bail himself out, and he did, and he bailed himself out, and he ended up moving to Florida and living out the rest of his life there. So he pretty much got off scot-free for literally letting people die from their illness that they had no control over, and people literally believed that he was saving their lives and giving them all of their money. I know I've said that so many times, but it's just so sad. But then in 2018, the gardeners at the Crescent Hotel a little bit of a surprise. In 2018, gardeners were out digging outside the Crescent Hotel when they started hearing glass breaking, and they ended up finding literal jars of human remains. I'm not kidding. I'm laughing because I'm still kind of in shock about it. So yeah, they found out that the jars had human remains in them. So remember Norman? Yeah, our old pal? Yeah, it turns out when people passed away after they died from their cancers, obviously, he would take their human remains, put them in jars, and keep them. And I guess when he was like he knew he was gonna get arrested, he took the jars and buried them, thinking that no one would be able to find them. Yeah, It's a really, really sad story. Obviously, the hotel has a lot of messed up history, and there's a lot of things I haven't even talked about yet with the hotel. But this video is kind of getting long enough, but I decided I could talk about someone else now. There is other famous people who haunt the hotel other than Norman Baker himself. Yes, he does haunt the hotel, but the hotel is rumored to be haunted by other people, including Theodora, who is rumored to be a nurse who worked in the hotel, who ended up getting cancer herself and becoming a patient at the hotel, to even the Morris the cat, who was actually the general manager of the hotel. I'm not kidding. There was a little cat, like orange tabby cat named Morris, who was the general manager, I think, which I think is adorable. But I decided to talk about one of the most popular ghosts there, Michael. So Michael dates way back to when the hotel was first getting built. He was one of the construction people who worked there, and he was I think he was working like on the roof, or had to be like somewhere up there high. And he sees this very beautiful woman like walking down the sidewalk, and he thinks, oh my gosh, I just gotta get her attention. So he tries to like catcall, or like try to get her attention by like saying something, I guess. And he ends up slips and falls and hits the beam that now is holding room 218 and dies. Now, the funny thing about him now is he still haunts the hotel. He yeah, like I said, he haunts it. But whenever like there's women there, like at the hotel, who he thinks like is attractive, he gets their attention. He will like caress their hair, maybe like tickle their side, and it's like and it's really, I'm not saying it's funny to do that, but I just think it's like kind of like really weird how like a spirit does that. And another kind of funny, I know it's one funny thing he does is when there's like men around the women in the hotel, he doesn't like that. He takes it as a challenge. And there have been times when, I'm not kidding, there have been like guys like sleeping next to girls like sleeping, and they literally feel a foot in their side kicking them out of bed. And it's like so like, I just think it's like really like interesting how like, because like they do say he's a very like intelligent spirit, which is understandable. He must be like a very intelligent spirit if like he's like smart enough to know to do that, which is like, I'm not saying it's funny that he like does that to girls and like kind of harasses them. I'm just saying it's very like interesting how like he's intelligent enough to know how to do that. But anyways, the hotel is still open to this day. And as you can probably guess, a lot of people, if it's like one of America's most haunted hotels, like a lot of people do go there and they like do ghost hunting and stuff. And yeah, and I'm definitely not the first person to really talk about the Crescent Hotel. People like Kelsey Davies and Sam and Colby's videos I absolutely love. I highly, highly recommend you go check out their channels and show some love and support. But yeah, it's open now. You can get ghost tours. You can like go ghost hunting there, and obviously it's still a running and working hotel, so you can book hotels there. But if you're curious, here are the most haunted rooms. Obviously, I talked about room 218 with Michael. But yeah, so anyways, that's the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, make sure to smash that like button and maybe subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments if there's any other makeup or ghosts or haunted stuff you want me to talk about. Anyways, guys, I love you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!